Hello everybody and welcome to a Monday edition of Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue, as per usual. The prime news on this one is going to be our reporting retrospective on all of the news that came in about the Royal Rumble. So Royal Rumble reporting retrospective, try saying that one quickly, just did, nailed it. And we'll also be discussing the impending return of Big E, a bit on Randy Orton as well, and going into a full review of the Royal Rumble. So plenty to discuss, and of course I will be answering your questions, so please jump in with them. As a slight aside, I am currently on I'm still not used to having 2,082 subscribers. Between this and the watch party we'll be doing for Monday Night Raw tonight, maybe, just maybe, we can hit the 18 and before the end of the month hit 2,100. Welcome everyone, great to see so many familiar faces, and my word, they're quite a lot so far. Welcome everyone to the show. I'm going to start with the chat as per usual and just make sure everyone is happy and cheerful. Be sure to hit like as we go, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. Spider Boss is saying, after a match with Sonya, what is next for Charlotte? I would imagine that may have something to do with the winner of the Royal Rumble. Also says, just when fans on social media were saying the bloodline is getting boring, the plot twist made everyone pay attention. I don't think that many people were saying they were getting boring, and if they were, they would still be saying that they're getting boring now, unfortunately. Wrestler Fan says, will Bad Bunny and Pat McAfee wrestle at WrestleMania 39? Pat McAfee is a maybe. Bad Bunny seems unlikely at this point in time. Both men were contacted with offers to be in the Royal Rumble. Pat McAfee decided to turn it down. Bad Bunny, I'm not sure, but he wasn't there. Sean Ireland is mentioning Zero News, which, by the way, we will be discussing a little later in the retrospective. It says, Zero News is in translation to Zero News, with Z. Absolutely ridiculous how people believe this guy when he has more wrongs than rights. He looked like an absolute fool this weekend. We will be discussing what happened as regards Zero News and their reporting. A lot of people bring them up in this chat, which is the only reason I actually reached out and found out the information that I did on that. However, I will say that we are going beyond that. We are discussing a lot of different reporters and reports that we'll be diving into shortly. Justin checks them all for that, that being more debunkings. Carlos says, Sammy versus Roman Elimination Chamber. That certainly seems to be what's coming out first. To report that was Zero News. But Dave Meltzer is now saying it's incredibly likely as well. FDR is sharing tables, which is always a good shout. If you have the table emo, let us know. Pop some tables in the chat. Go nuts. Jaden says, hey Tom, any Mercedes updates? Nope. Austin Palmater says the ending had such a great storytelling. It did. It was one of the best endings to a Royal Rumble I've seen, and I completely understand now why they made the switch of the order so that the men's Royal Rumble started the show. Lots of big good news. Lots of big good news. Eric says, Tommy, going live for Raw tonight? Yes, I am. Venom has eventually driven me insane, and I've decided to give it a shot. They will be very, very rare that I'll be doing Raw watch parties. I'll be doing one tonight after the Royal Rumble. I will definitely be doing one on the show after WrestleMania. Essentially meaning that after WrestleMania, I'll be doing the SmackDown on Friday, both nights, Saturday and Sunday of WrestleMania, and Monday Night Raw. You might as well, let's be fair. Bear with me one sec. So we'll be diving into that. Simon says, hey Tom, is it going to be Rhea versus Bianca at Mania 39, Liv versus Charlotte at Mania 39, or Liv wins the SmackDown Women's Chamber match? Liv Morgan does not seem to be one of those who will be competing for a Women's Championship at WrestleMania. She is more likely to be competing for a Tag Team Championship. Hey Marcel, how you doing? Razar says, hi Tom, what did you think of the Rumble? Also, please tell me Rhea isn't challenging Charlotte at WrestleMania. Well, Razar, unfortunately I can't tell you what you're asking for there. What I will say though is I really enjoyed both Rumble matches. It was a very nice palate cleanser of the awfulness that was last year's effort. So it's good to get back on winning ways, and I do feel Triple H did a great job with these ones. Though a win from 30 and a win from 1, maybe we could do a little different than that. Daz says, big up Tom, how are you doing today? Doing very well, thank you Daz, great to see you mate. One sec. Spider-Boss says, Rhea Ripley choosing Charlotte could be a rematch from their match from Mania 36 in 2020. Yes, it could, and that may be exactly what they are planning on. Carmelina says, hi Tom, do you think now we can get Jay first Jimmy? Do you mean Jay versus Jimmy? Because to my knowledge there is no plan to do that. The WWE will find that very, very difficult and very, very awkward because, well, it's difficult to say who's the face and who's the heel when both men look very alike. It's easy to get confused. King of Cobra says, hey Tom, how's it going on this wonderful Monday? Going fantastic, thank you King. The Worst Channel says, any updates on if Batista will ever return to the WWE for another match? Yes. No, he will not be returning for any other matches with the WWE. Batista has literally zero interest in a return to wrestling, especially for, well, any more matches. Andrew Quinn says 2K have done a great job again with this upcoming game, and will Zack Ryder be on Raw tonight? Well, he wasn't at the Rumble, and we did get promised to be at the Rumble, so it's not a great start. Austin says, Gunter did amazing at the Rumble. I'm glad Vince didn't get rid of him. Shows he's so good. Vince McMahon had no intention of getting rid of Gunter. I know that that's been reported. It simply wasn't true. Michael Winston, welcome, says, do you think Lashley gets another title run? Yes. At some point. Definitely. He's very deserving. Christoph says, hi Tom. Here we are. The roads to WrestleMania has begun. Step 1. All roads lead to Reigns. I said it a year ago and I say it now. Dad says, Tom, what will Cody be on now? Raw or SmackDown? Cody will be on Raw full-time. He was Raw full-time when he left. He has been moved very succinctly exactly where he was previously. Cody Rhodes will be on Raw full-time. Plans seem to be that the Royal Rumble winner, so Cody, will be focused entirely on Raw. He will have at least one promo every week to hype up the fact that he won the Royal Rumble and start the build to the WrestleMania match against Roman. However, on the other side, on SmackDown, Roman Reigns, while openly engaging with Cody, will not have that as his prime focus. He has to deal with issues with the bloodline, at least until Elimination Chamber. Focus will be on SmackDown for the main event of Elimination Chamber, but Cody will very much still be in the very clear front. Spider-Boss says, I hope Rhea picks Bianca. And did Dominic Mysterio attack Rey at the Royal Rumble? No, but kayfabe, yes. Cool. Steve Englund says, hey Tom, another Manic Monday, hope you're well. Did you enjoy the Royal Rumble show? I really did. Certainly I feel the matches in between the Royal Rumbles left a bit to be desired. Bray Wyatt not really doing it for me at the moment. We will be doing a video on the channel over the next few days on Uncle Howdy, more details as to who he is, what he's going to be involved in. But the Women's Championship match also didn't quite capture the attention. It was fine, it was serviceable. The rest of the show was better than fine and serviceable. Simon says, Meltzer said it's as good as a lock for Roman versus Sammy. Hello, Peter, how are you? Richard Smith says, hello, Tom and all. Hope all is well and enjoyed Royal Rumble. Ross Menzies says, evening all. Welcome, everyone. It's always good to see a lot of familiar faces. Traffic says, good evening, Tom and chat. Tom, it's your time to gloat. Not even one came close in amount they got right in regards to anything you reported on the Rumble. Most news came out getting exposed. True, what I reported mostly, let's be fair, was rumour killers. The fact that I was able to report, The Rock's not going to be there when everyone was going a bit nuts for The Rock, that is something I'm quite proud of. That said, I'm not really a big gloater. Spider-Boss says Liv Morgan's Rumble performance was good considering Liv got eliminated fast in 2019. Yep, well, she's come a long way. She is after all a former champion now. And Michael says, hi Tom. Hello, Michael. Wiggly says, yo, 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 and then stops. Shame. Says not keen on Asuka's new theme or face paint, but I still love her, of course. Literally nothing could ever stop you, I'm sure. John Giller says, hey Tom, why are there so many people being negative about the Rumble? Because people are entitled to their own opinions, and I feel it does say more about the people you are following. Joey says, do you have any news on Sami facing Roman at Mania for one of the titles? No, to my knowledge, that match is not planned for WrestleMania. Ken says, any big plans for Liv Morgan since she was a runner-up in the Rumble at the moment? Liv Morgan and Tegan Nox look set to be involved in the tag division, which is a good spot because quite a lot of women are not going to make the WrestleMania card, so it's a good spot just to be there at all. Liv Morgan looks likely to be there. Thank you, King Cobra. Austin says, Sami versus Roman at the Chamber in Sami's hometown. That crowd would be nuts and would be even worse when he loses. Noob says, hello Tom, how you doing? Doing very well, thank you, Noob. Welcome to the show. Austin says, what do you think happens to Ronda, hoping she teams with Shayna? I think she'll team with Shayna. John says, hey Tom, wanted to ask if you see any ladies joining Becky to help fight Damage Control. Nope, I see Becky taking them on pretty much solo. After all, in WrestleMania, they will be occupied elsewhere. Eric says, who do you think was the biggest WTF storyline of the invasion? Mine is DDP, one of the best wrestlers not in the WWE at the time, reducing her to a stalker, having him lose to Undertaker's wife. DDP certainly is up there for me, though I do think Kanyon was treated a little bit worse. Sean believes that Asuka looked amazing. I wholeheartedly agree. Razar says, if Rhea is going for Charlotte, who is Bianca facing at WrestleMania, and what does Becky do? Good questions. Joey says, do you have any news for the Elimination Chamber? I've already shared a little bit as to what the intentions are going to be for the Chamber going forwards. As regards Cody Rhodes, more to follow. Steve Emblem says, Michael Cole was on McAfee's show earlier. Did you know that Cole had no idea Pat was returning? Yes, I absolutely did, and in fact mentioned it during the show that was the case. I got a message about that one just before the show started, let it play out, and then shared the news. Because ultimately, I'm not trying to scoop anyone. I'm just trying to share information that I think is entertaining or interesting and in public knowledge, so I can wait until afterwards to say so. Venom is hyped for the watch along. You better be there, mate. Eric says, Liv did amazing, which is true. Caitlin says, hello, Tom. What do you think is next for Bianca Belair? Well, certainly there's a possibility of Rhea Ripley being involved there. There's a number of other potential competitors, though. I think Alexa Bliss at this point moves on, unless being retrieved by Uncle Howdy and becoming a monster, as it were. There is still possibility for some sort of otherwise combination. But I think Nia Jax might be involved, personally. Austin says, what happens with Jay? Do you think him saying he's done? He's left the bloodline. Mellencamp says, Jay, Sammy, KO versus Jimmy, Roman and Solo Elimination Chamber. Jay turns on Sammy and KO. Usos versus KO Sammy as main event of WrestleMania Night 1. Cody versus Roman main event Night 2. Okay, well, Usos versus KO and Sammy will not be main eventing WrestleMania Night 1. It is more likely to be a Charlotte Flair match. Joey says, I feel like Sammy is going to take the spotlight away from Cody going after Roman. He will, until the end of Elimination Chamber, at which point he'll be swept to his side and do his own thing, and Cody versus Roman will be made clear. I did mention that earlier. Austin says, wonder when we will see Brock again. Possibly today. Possibly during Raw today. They will start building towards Brock versus Bobby at WrestleMania at this point, unless they want to throw it out there at Elimination Chamber, but I don't know why they would. Simon says, Liv and Tegan are not a tag team anymore. Cole mentioned it in commentary during the Rumble, and yet they helped each other out, supported each other, and will likely be a tag team going forwards. Keep on, mate. Martin says, oh, here's drop deck down again. I'll catch up. Martin says, hello, Sir Colohue. Hope you had a great weekend. As you know, I'm very happy with the return of Chelsea. Do you know if there's still interest on Deonna? And do you have news on Nick Aldis? There is still interest in Deonna Purrazzo. As regards Nick Aldis, there have been discussions, but I have never reported that a deal has been struck because I certainly haven't heard that myself. Jane says, do you think that Nia Jax was a one-time thing or is she back full-time? Neither. To my knowledge, this is similar to the MVP situation. He came back, he was celebrated, people loved him, he stuck around. Bailey says, with so many women enjoying promising storylines, the Alexa Bliss story already seems stale. She's better than playing the spooky character once again. Bailey, she has asked for it, and Triple H is obliged. I'm not a big fan of the character either, to be completely honest, but a lot of people are, and while it's not for me, I do kind of get it. Spider-Ball says, just after Nia Jax appeared at the Royal Rumble, I said this is Vince McMahon written all over it. I did in fact mention that on Friday, spoiler warning as well. Hector says, happy Monday, Tom. I'm seeing negative reaction to the Rumble saying it was too predictable, but as someone who's watched most Royal Rumbles under Vince, I'll take predictable over a 70-year-old man deciding to change his mind day of show. Predictable is not a bad thing. I get annoyed a little bit how often I have to say that one, and I don't mean to the people in here. You guys know wrestling well enough. But predictable is not a bad thing. If it's too unpredictable, it doesn't make any sense. Spider-Bus says, just as an opinion, I think Roman versus Sammy Elimination Chamber could be good. Jay could get involved. He absolutely could. Carmelina says, do you think that anyone from the Bloodline will be on Raw? No, I don't. The plan seems to be to very much focus on Cody Rhodes on Monday Night Raw as the top guy, and on SmackDown, the Bloodline storyline will play out. Roman will essentially ignore the fact that Cody Rhodes has won the Royal Rumble until it is convenient for him. We have just reached the point of having more than 100 people in the chat. Please remember to hit that thumbs up. We only have the 26 likes so far, meaning that only a quarter of you have hit the like button. Every thumbs up makes a massive difference to the growth of the channel, and I would very much appreciate it. Also, if you've never done so, hit that subscribe button. We will continue to grow, and before you know it, we will have 2,100 ready to go into next month. Jordan says, good evening, Tom. Congrats on a great Rumble watch along. Thank you very much, Jordan. I appreciate that. I try my best to entertain. I'm glad you liked it. Venom says, glad to see Chelsea Green return, but I hope they're not going to bury her. It looked like that by the fast elimination. They are not planning to bury her, but they are planning to give her a character that you do not support. Jaden says, I'm so mad that I fell asleep when the Women's Rumble started. I watched the show for the Women's Rumble. That's unfortunate, mate. Sorry to hear it. Noob says, what are your thoughts on Asuka's return at the Royal Rumble? Thought she would have come out at number 30, but we know a certain female Samoan took that number. Asuka got a very, very big moment in the Royal Rumble. She lasted a very long time, and I do feel Asuka versus Charlotte had a lot of potential. I also think Asuka versus Bianca had a lot of potential. She's an ideal winner of the Elimination Chamber and a challenger for the other Women's Championship. Richard Smith says, take the Bray and LA and Women's Championships were awful and boring. Disagree on awful and boring? I don't think they were great, but I don't think they were awful. The Worst Channel says, does Shawn Michaels plan to come back for one more match? No. Moises says, I don't like how Braun is a mid-card guy now. At the moment, he's simply not at Roman Reigns' level. He's not even close to Roman Reigns' level. So it's mid-card or off the card. And given the choice, would you prefer to be mid-card or off the card? Joey says, Zero News is blaming his sources again for giving him wrong info on The Rock. Sounds like the same thing he did at Clash at the Castle. Simon says, who faces Roman for the Universal Title Championship at Mania Night 2? Mania Night 2 will be Cody versus Roman for the WWE Championship. Nas says, hey Tom, missed the last few streams. Happy Monday. Do you see Liv getting a chance at Charlotte soon? I do not. Welcome back. I do not see her getting a chance at Charlotte anytime soon. Spider-Boss says, when we could see Ronda back on SmackDown relatively soon. There are plans to get her involved in a WrestleMania match. They are needing to sort of put that together at some point soon, and it is very much on the agenda. It's just actually making it happen now that they're struggling with a little bit because of issues that they are having with her contract and with Triple H. Barry says, I've been looking at my phone, hitting the keys on my computer come board, and wondering why it isn't working. Hello Barry. Welcome, mate. How you doing? Spider-Boss says, I loved how Pat McAfee mocked Corey Graves when he appeared. He did. It was a lot of fun. I do like that everyone was playing along with that. Everyone was playing along with the fact that he came out of nowhere, and it was very, very good to see. Buck's Basement, welcome, says, Tom, please tell me the plan is for Kana to face Charlotte at Mania because she's absolutely earned it. The pop was massive, especially when she removed the mask. I hope so, but to my knowledge, that is not the plan. I would like to see a rematch between Charlotte and Asuka, and then on the other side, Bianca versus Rhea. That would be my ideal scenario. I just unfortunately worry about the WWE making choices that aren't going to make the fans happy. After all, Vince is back, and so is Nia Jax. Carlos says, US title will be defended at Elimination Chamber as per WWE. I'm not sure who against. Maybe Ali. Mustafa Ali would be a perfect person for it. After all, Bobby Lashley is busy elsewhere, and Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul is genuinely a thing, guys. Genuinely a thing. I did report on Monday that the plans for Seth Rollins at WrestleMania would be made clear by the end of the week. The end of the week is here. Logan Paul seems to be the guy. Matthew Johnson says, evening, Tom and chat. Please tell us that Nia Jax was just a one night only. Sorry, mate. Jonathan is also... I appreciate that. Like, Carlos says, as per WWE. Jonathan says, source WWE. Fantastic. We are sourcing things brilliantly. Thanks, guys. Inside the Chamber. Did not realize it was Inside the Chamber. Good update, mate. Venom says, did Indy and Zoe being in the Rumble count as NXT call-ups for them? No. Steve says, fun to see you're doing a review. Interested in hearing your thoughts on the Royal Rumble. We'll see what time slots I have, let's be fair. A lot of people in the chat. A lot of people chatting away. And I still have what did I call it? The reporting retrospective. The Royal Rumble reporting retrospective, calling out a lot of the fake news that tried to trick you around the Royal Rumble. The Worst Channel says, what is the plan for Sami at WrestleMania? To team with KO against the Usos. Roger says, Wrestling Days reported Lana is returning to WWE. I hope not. I don't believe Wrestling Days reports anything. I believe they take their information from other sources who do report things. Just to be clear on that one. Buck says, Mami should absolutely win the championship at Mania. Let her go on another streak. I'd love it. I want it. Make it happen. Moises says, I hope Lana doesn't come back. Interesting. BM says, it's me, BM, aka Prof. Wigglytuff. Welcome to the YouTube side. Dad says, do you have any news if Seth has a match or promo tonight? I don't at this point in time. I'm confident Seth may still be involved in the Elimination Chamber. Logan Paul may as well. Spider-Boss says, does WWE still want to rebuild the women's tag division? Yes, they do, and they will be doing so. Wiggly says they're already selling a Nia Jax t-shirt, as does Michael. Yeah, she's back. Ghost says, hello Tom and chat, hope everyone is doing well. WWE have announced the US title will be defended inside the Elimination Chamber, and Seth versus Gable versus Corbin versus Gargano are said as qualifiers for the Elimination Chamber match. Sorry, that's Seth versus Gable and Corbin versus Gargano. Seth seems a lock for that particular one. After all, he's very recently been a champion. Hector says, I'm ready to see the pyro budget for Cody's eventual win at Mania. His entrance will be over the top and the celebration will be even bigger. And Spider-Boss says, Sami turned on Roman surprised me. Always thought Roman was going to betray Sami. Clearly, you've not watched enough. Spoiler warning. Joey says, do you have any news on who's being considered for the Chamber match? I believe the match announcements that Ghost has just shared clarifies that very clearly. Carly says, evening, Tom. Why, what a pay-per-view. Gutted, Bliss lost. Sorry to hear that, but I do think it was a decent match. Well worth the admission fee. Simon says, Sportskeeda reported today that Bayley versus Becky is happening at Mania 39. First reported, hi, right here on the Tom Colohue channel. Jack Smith says, hi everyone. Hey Jack, how you doing? Razar says, what are the plans for Asuka? Is she going to be on the WrestleMania card? Maybe a title match? She deserves it. And the crowd went crazy for her at the Rumble. I don't have any plans just yet as regards the plans for Asuka at at WrestleMania. I'm just going to get rid of the usual racist who has created another account just to troll. Like, keep creating them. Keep creating them. Keep subscribing. Keep our chat rate massive. I appreciate you. Michael says, Rhea or Asuka should get their win back on Charlotte, but Charlotte. Yes. Charlotte does indeed exist. Christoph says, just announced by WWE, Rhea will pick her opponent tonight and the men's EC will be for the US title. Venom says, I've heard rumours of the Usos. Stop. Venom, what's your source? What's your source? Jane says, Tom, WrestleFeatures did not report. WrestleFeatures re-reported what the WWE reported. WrestleFeatures, to my knowledge, not worth a follow. They just repeat what other people report. The Worst channel says, in my opinion, the Sammy storyline was so good but such a waste. Not a waste in any way, shape or form. He's bigger now than he's ever been. It's not all about championships. Simon says, Nia Jax deserves... Oh, bloody hell, that was a lot from the troll. A lot from the troll. Simon says, Nia Jax deserves to be nowhere near a women's title match. Venom says, it was very predictable. I got every match right. Roger says, have you tried Prime Energy Drink? Nope, basically can't find the thing. And probably wouldn't anyway, let's be fair. Simon says, most pro wrestling fans hate Nia Jax, don't want her there at all. But the WWE do not. Brad Skulnick says, can you tell us about Howdy? I will be doing so. I'm already putting a video together which will be up on the channel in the next few days. Andrew Quinn says, breaking news. Appreciate that, Andrew. Appreciate that. Nelson says, I hope Jay leaving the bloodline is a ruse, and he rejoins. Jaden says, Tom, did you see Cody Rhodes' 2K23 entrance? It was great. Not as of yet. Not as of yet. It's on my list. Leisha, welcome, says, hi, Tom. Hello, everyone. Not sure if you've answered, but has Jay left the bloodline, and what is the plan going forwards? Right now, yes, Jey Uso has left the bloodline. Roman will try and get the bloodline back in line. However, he's going to have a difficult time doing so. Oops, sorry guys, one sec. Slightly losing track of the chat because I've said racist. Just lots of things happening. I'm catching up, don't worry. Venom says, good to see Doudrop is now Piper Niven again. I want her versus Nia. That may well be happening. Kieran says, to be fair, Asuka versus Bianca at Mania would slap. I don't think we've seen that one on the main roster yet, at least. I don't believe we have. No. And Book Spaceman says, Kana needs to be the champion at Mania. Jaden says, Tom, do you game on PS4 or PS5? At the moment, still PS4. I'm not quite rich enough to have a PS5 just yet. Venom says, what do you think of Nia Jax coming back? It opens a lot of possibilities. She is a top level heel in the company. She gets incredible amounts of hate, and she's definitely found a way to sort of nurture that hate and make people hate her even further. The WWE are lacking top level female names at the moment, and for someone like Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax could be absolutely perfect. So I don't hate it. However, it depends who she's wrestling against. Noob says that Pitch Black match was great visual-wise, but the concept really screams bad karma in terms of match quality. Richard says Corey Graves was on point with his sarcasm, especially when Chelsea got eliminated. Kieran is excited for Seth versus Logan Paul. Roger says, will WWE be signing any Impact Wrestling wrestlers or knockouts? No, because they are under contract for Impact and are thus unavailable. You know the deal says Gunter versus Lesnar in the future? Yes, that is likely in the future. I still believe we are more likely to see McIntyre versus Gunter for WrestleMania. Venom says, do you think the bloodline is over? Nope. Richard Smith says, is anyone happy that Nia Jax is back? Yes, the people who hired her. Jaden says, I hope Seth won't lose. Venom says, what do you think the plan is for Roman regarding the Chamber pay-per-view? It will still be as regards the bloodline. He will probably, at this point, let's be fair, be facing off against not Jey Uso, against Sami Zayn, but could be wrestling against Jey Uso as well. Yes, Daniel, Nia Jax is back. Steve Englund says, do we expect the returns call-ups debuts to be on hold until after WrestleMania? Yep, they've been on hold for a while. After all, they've sort of redone the whole thing for a while now, just sort of creating it all over again. Simon says, is Roman performing double duty? I've been talking about that one for a while. Keep up. Venom says, who do you think Rhea picks? I think she picks Rhea. Well, I don't think Rhea can pick Rhea. Let's be fair. Nat says, do you think the commentary team is going to change tonight? Nope. Venom says, first time we've ever got a US title chamber match. Yes, although we did have, at least at one point, we did have a chamber match for the tag team championships. It was not very good. Steve says, who would you like to see compete in the Elimination Chamber alongside Austin Theory? Seth is an obvious one. I'd like to see Bobby and Brock involved in it. I think that would be great. Corbin is deserving of another opportunity. Outside of that, Ali, give me a high flyer. Throw him in there. Mahesh says, is Corey Graves fighting Pat McAfee at WrestleMania? No. Edward Brooks says, what are your thoughts on Damage Control versus Becky and Friends in a 6-woman tag at Elimination Chamber, leading to Bayley versus Becky one-on-one at WrestleMania? It would be cool. It would be fun. I don't think they need it going into WrestleMania, and I worry about who the friends in question would be. Jaden liked both endings of the Rumbles. Edward Brooks says, should Bayley versus Becky have a stipulation at WrestleMania as well? No, I really do not want a stipulation at WrestleMania. I want the two of them to be engaged in a good old-fashioned wrestling match. Spider-Boss says, I'd rather have Rhea versus Bianca at Mania. I don't see WWE letting Rhea beat Charlotte at WrestleMania. Disagree on that one. That said, Charlotte's a face right now. Stranger things have happened. Faces tend to lose a lot more. Go says, has there been any updates about when the Hall of Fame rollout will begin? No updates at this point in time. I'm still waiting on the first few announcements, but they will be coming soon, I'm sure. Wiggly says, I still can't believe Nia Jax is back. Barry says, I always ask for a source as well. I prefer HP. Daddy's source is rubbish. Wiggly says, Tom, honestly, tell me what's happened to your team. Okay, not on that. We're talking wrestling. Spider-Boss says, all the Bray stuff was kind of disappointing. All those promos for a pitch black match. Yes, that's exactly what happened. I don't really know what the question is there, to be honest. Don't really know what the question is. Roger was so happy that Alexa Bliss lost, which seems excessive. And Joey says, is Gunter and Lesnar still being considered for Mania? I don't know that it ever was considered for Mania. To my knowledge, McIntyre versus Gunter is what's being considered for WrestleMania. Christoph says, US title EC, I predict Seth, Corbin, Miz, Dexter, Priest, and of course Theory. I hope Robbie and Brock could be in, but I don't think so. Steve says, the ending of the Women's Royal Rumble this year was one of my favourite endings to a Royal Rumble match ever. And Austin says, do you think we'll hear from Jay or the Bloodline? Not tonight, no. Venom says, if Cody is facing Roman for the WWE title, do you think Sammy fights him for the Universal title? No. Vegeta Lover likes Nia. Callie says, I'd like Jay and Sammy to team up against Solo and Jimmy. Probably wishful thinking, though. I think it is, unfortunately, yes. John Gillis says, Cody drank the pitch black Mountain Dew at the press conference and said it is amazing, and he's entitled to feel that. Roger Sims says, do you think WrestleVotes are a good source? If you've checked their information, they're kind of there, kind of not at times, but I don't trust anyone who doesn't put their name and face out there. John says, will Roman be on SmackDown this week? I believe so, yes. Corey says, hey guys, hey Tom. Hey Corey. Razar says, I'm by no means a Nia Jax fan, but I don't understand the massive hate she gets. I kind of think she has her entertaining moments. What do you think of her? I think, ultimately, some people don't quite see the line with kayfabe and reality. Becky Lynch forgave her. That means we should probably follow suit. Joey says, everyone kept getting their hopes that the Jay White would show up in the Rumble. People should listen to Twitter. People should listen to Tom Colohue on that one. Mahesh said, could Nia Jax join the Bloodline? I mean, could. Found it unlikely. Michael says, in your opinion, not a report, what do you think about Naomi not being at the Rumble? I'm not so sure she returns. As far as I know, there are still conversations ongoing. They want her to return, but as I've mentioned, there are no guarantees of it. They do feel it's more likely that she returns than Sasha Banks after all. Now, we are currently on 107 viewers. We have 39 likes. That means only a third of you have hit that like button. So, hit the like button if you can. Please keep those numbers going up as we grow in this channel. And if you've not done so yet, consider subscribing. We do live spoiler warning shows Mondays and Fridays, live watch parties for SmackDown. This week we'll be doing a live watch party for Raw and pay-per-views as well. We are only 15 subscribers away from 2,100. You could be one of them, after all. Hawk says, unfortunately, everyone wanting Sammy to dethrone Roman and be the face of the company failed to realise WWE's money first, and Saudi made WWE too much money. Sadly, that has absolutely nothing to do with it. Eric says, why do you think Liv is so far away from the title? She is so good. Because there are no plans to have her in the championship, at least until after WrestleMania. There are no plans for it. John says, Tom, to your knowledge, was that a brand new character Bray debuted or an updated version of The Fiend? It was neither. It was a character that he's already played, similar to The Fiend. Spider-Boss says, now Nia is back. I hope she doesn't hurt any girl in the women's division. Venom says, Drew doesn't need the IC title. Who says he's winning? Who says he's winning? You know who doesn't need the IC title? Brock Lesnar. And he's a hell of a lot more likely to win than Drew is. Roger says, do you think Nia and Piper Niven could break the ring if they have a match? Could. I don't think they would. Ross says, I'm hoping Kaylee Ray is back when she makes a main roster debut. I don't like the Albs. Okay. Wiggly says, my personal view here, but I have no respect for Nia Jax as a human being. Lots of good reasons for that. Lots of good reasons worth reading. Venom says, do you think we get another chamber match, and which one do you think it is? The women's chamber match to decide who is going to be facing off against whoever is not chosen by Rhea Ripley. Spider-Boss says, is WWE still negotiating with Naomi? Yes. Razar says, I think it'll be Drew versus Sheamus versus Gunter, since Drew and Sheamus are teaming up lately. That would involve a breakup, and honestly, I don't think that's impossible. The Rumble certainly seemed to suggest that way. Ross says, Alba Fire's gimmick, which he's doing well putting people over in NXT. Vegeta thinks Alba Fire is a better name. Venom says, I hope these chamber matches are good and not just rushed. Did you see the Royal Rumble matches? They were pretty good. John says, when will Cody Rhodes return? I miss him. We want him back. He was back yesterday. Anyway, Tommy says, happy Monday night Raw night, Tom. Thank you, Tommy. We will be doing a live watch party for Monday Night Raw if you'd like to check that out. FDR says, shout out to that Logan Paul and Ricochet Rumble spot, though. It was very, very fun. Steve says, I want to see LA Knight versus Pat McAfee at Mania. Imagine the promos. Steve says, what is wrong with these trolls? Steve, it is one troll. Just one troll who has decided that I'm a massive racist and I helped Chris Benoit commit murder. I don't know how these things go together for them. What they are is very dumb. They create a lot of accounts, and when they come in here and bombard the chat, my chat rate goes up and the show is advertised to more viewers. Buck says, Nia Jax is such a bad choice for Mania. If she wins the title, that's going to be so much bad heat. Asuka is what the fans want. How do you debut Asuka and not use her at Mania? How do you debut a hell of a lot of people and not use them at Mania? Let's be fair. Thank you very much, Corey, for the bits. Joey says, what news do you have on Uncle Howdy? Video on that coming out in the next few days. DC says, good evening, Tom. Hope your weekend was splendid. I noticed there were no NXT men wrestling in the Royal Rumble. Was this a form of punishment by the WWE? No punishment whatsoever. I honestly have no idea why you'd even say that. Why would you say that? Steve says, is Baron Corbin a jobber now? No, but he is lower down the card than he used to be. CM says, will Jay turn on the Bloodline or Bloodline turn on him? There is no turn to be had. He's not in the Bloodline anymore. Mike Rogers says, is there a chance we see a mid-card women's title? Yes, there was talk about it months ago. It seems to have sort of dropped off the radar, but there is a conversation going on about it pretty much constant. Jaden says, do you think the Bella twins are going to be blacklisted? No. Michael says, what do you think about the WWE press conferences? Jesse Collins from Reconomics complained about no one asking about the sale or if Vince is involved in creative. Those press conferences seem to be mostly kayfabe. They are kayfabe. They are almost 100% kayfabe. People do sort of toe the company line and do as they're told when it comes to those press conferences. A lot of wrestling media think that they're actually wrestlers. There were some really good people there, but the issue is those good people were only just invited recently, and they are working for companies that will have told them, do not rock the boat. Hummingbird, welcome. Says, who should Wyatt wrestle at Mania? Your point of view. I think Karrion Kross would be a likely one. I think Karrion Kross would be a good shout. FDR says, imagine booking Gunter versus Drew versus Sheamus for the IT title at Mania. That would be banger after banger. Yes, indeed it would. John Giller says, have you watched the latest episode of The Last of Us? Yes, I have. I cried like a child. Joey says, the Bellas are probably mad that Johnny Ace wasn't there to book them. They weren't. They were legitimately mad and they're entitled to their opinion. Billy Crystal, how you doing, mate? Says, hello, Tom. The steel step spot of Owens made me clench. Yeah, if you've watched the watch party, I was not comfortable in that moment. Simon says, do you see the women's chamber match being multi-branded for whoever Rhea doesn't choose the title? Yes. Mike says, I think the chamber match should be all big, meaty men. Austin Theory then would not fit the bill, except he does. Spider-Boss says, I think Rhea Ripley is the most over woman on Raw. Not true. Becky Lynch, mate. Becky Lynch. Wiggly says, when did we last have an Iron Man or Iron Woman match? Fairly recently, I want to say. I think it might have been Seth versus Dolph, but we are where we are. Mahesh says, where is Shanky? Shanky is backstage waiting for someone to say, here's a storyline for you. Richard says, I've met Nia Jax a few times and as a person, she's funny and a lovely woman. She was brought up too early and needs a lot of work. Spider-Boss says, could we get Rhea versus Beth Phoenix at Elimination Chamber? Absolutely, and we may see more of the build to that tonight. Late Talk with Jay says, the comment by John about Cody Rhodes makes me laugh. He returns Saturday. He did. B-School Nick says, who do you think Bray wrestles next? Not sure. There's a lot of different potential people for that. I've seen your source, Venom. Thank you for clarifying. Corey says, hope you're doing well. What do you think is going to happen on Raw tonight? 3 hours of wrestling, promos, and backstage segments. It's a big question, mate. I don't know how you can expect me to answer that. I can't tell you 3 hours worth of content. Salmon says, do you see Liv and Tegan winning the tag titles at Mania 39? No. Book says, Tom, I'm just asking. They gave Asuka a new theme, new gear. Now she has a new Kana look and they don't have any plans for her. Would they do all that if they didn't have plans? Yes, they absolutely would, because they don't really have plans for Piper Niven other than changing her name. They would do that. However, I didn't say that they did. I'm confident that there are plans for her. In fact, I do think she's a great call to win the Elimination Chamber and go on to face whoever Rhea Ripley doesn't face. Simon says, if Rhea does choose Bianca tonight, do you see Asuka versus Charlotte? I would love that, and I do think that's a good shout, yes. Dom, welcome, mate, says, hit that like button or we're forwards for you. We want the smoke. No, we don't, but it will help the chat. It will, Dom, thank you. CM said that Jay and Bloodline are going to have a feud, and if so, will Jimmy be on Roman's side? That's where we are now. That's where we're headed. Mr. Marco says, welcome. Is Naomi, where is she? Is a Royal Rumble up? I'm so happy naming her. Okay, so you didn't want Naomi or The Rock to show up at the Rumble. Okay. Spider-Boss says, just as personal opinion, I liked how Roxanne Perez mentioned Sasha Banks on the WWE show The Bump last week. She was a big influence. Christoph says, in my opinion, they should have made Rhea and Liv tie on the Iron Woman record. Rhea deserves her spot. They could have let the Iron Woman accolade to Liv only for prestige. Besides, I believe she really wanted. Doesn't really matter what she really wants. She's booked to do things a certain way. They could have gotten rid of the tie. However, that would mean Rhea Ripley not winning from the first position. That's what they wanted. Sean says, it's always nice when both Raw and SmackDown has storylines. Roger says it's Eric Young signed with WWE. He's been working with the WWE. I don't know in what capacity he has signed. Dunk Drew, what's your source on that? Or do you not have one? Sean says, hi Tom, welcome Sean. Richard says, Tom, has Shinsuke Nakamura left WWE? No. Greg's123 says, Kana versus Charlotte at Mania is tasty. It is, and I would absolutely love it as a concept as well. I think it's very much likely. Get the Tables, welcome, says, to set up Usos versus Owens and Zayn, do you think Jay turns on Sammy in Montreal? They beat him down and Kevin makes a save. The crowd would go wild. Hello, by the way. Hello. Yes, I do think that's a genuine possibility. The Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn has been the plan since around SummerSlam time. Obviously, Sami Zayn has certainly got a lot of people talking about a match with him and Roman, but at this point in time, that is not the plan. Welcome, Leon, to the show. He says, I'm loving LA Knight. Do you believe he could win the WWE title in the future? I think everything is on the table, and I do think he's a strong contender. That said, he's coming to the WWE quite late, and people who do that tend to they don't tend to get the rub of the green, if you get what I'm saying. Usually, it's a situation like Bobby Roode, where he just they drift a little bit. Simon says, I don't think Triple H would put Nia Jax in a title match at Mania 39. After all, he didn't want her back. He didn't, and did he win that one? Thomas says, why, hello, Mr. Colohue. I'm going to try and stay awake tonight for your stream, but I can't promise anything. If you need to sleep, mate, you sleep. If you'd like to join us, you'd be very welcome to do so. Razar says, I can see Tamina and Nia Jax reuniting the tag division, could use them. They would certainly be a good fourth team for the match at WrestleMania. Corey says, I see Sammy joining back up with Kevin on Friday. It may be too soon for the forgiveness there, but I definitely think it's going to happen eventually. Steve says, thoughts on Karrion Kross's position on the card. It feels like his star has fallen, and perhaps a loose association with the Judgment Day could rehab the tough losses he's taken. I don't see an association with Judgment Day. They are trying to keep Judgment Day in their own element. However, Karrion Kross has not been treated well at all. I don't think his star has fallen. I don't think he had a star in the main roster. He just hasn't. Spider-Boss says, I hope we see Indy Hartwell soon on the main roster. Mrs. Marco says, I hope Gunter wins the Royal Rumble. Well, yeah, he didn't. Came second. It was a very good showing. Will, you're right, mate. Says, you told us that Cody didn't have any problems with Kenny in the books, and to prove you right, Cody paid tribute to them after winning the Rumble. Yeah, he had absolutely no issue with them. Everyone was happy. When he left on very good terms. Moises said, any word on Bobby Roode? Injured. Andrew Soto says, what are the plans with the Alexa Bliss situation? Are they going to put the belt on her or not? Well, it's not about the belt for Alexa Bliss at this point in time, Andrew. When it comes to Alexa Bliss, they are introducing her new character by sort of removing everything that came before. So it's about the character development, not the championship. Joey says, any news on Nick Aldis? Nothing further. There was interest, however, they have not signed a contract of any type to my knowledge. Simon says, do you see Bianca losing the Raw Women's title? Yes. Venom says, who's Roman fighting at the Chamber if not Sami? Possibly Jey Uso. Dad says, is it true Michelle McCool has gone to the Hall of Fame? I haven't seen any announcements of that, no. Jaden says, Tommy, are you going to do a watch-along for Battle in the Valley? No, it is far too early in the morning over here. Far too early. Also, I'll be working when it's live. Sean says, we should write these down to see if they are right. Zero News is saying Carmella returns tonight. Cody challenges Roman is in the main event. And Rhea challenges Charlotte. Yep, we should write them down because we will be talking about that very shortly as soon as I've caught up. Barry says, I do think Piper Niven and Becky Lynch could make a good tag team. John says, what are your thoughts on FDR in the future? They were intending to come back to the WWE under Triple H. Vince McMahon's return has made them consider things again. Wrestler fan says, Nia Jax back full time. She is back. I can't guarantee full time, though it's not going to be a one-off thing. Hey Tina, how you doing, mate? Simon says, who do you see walking out of Mania 39 as women's tag team champions? Ronda Rousey and Bianca. Nope. And Shayna Baszler. Sean says, happy 36th birthday to Becky Lynch. Hope everyone signed the card from Stephanie Hypes. Thomas says, what do you think is a fantasy booking of Memphis Sami and Jay feud? I have already spoken to you, mate. I responded on Discord. It's not public a conversation, so I can't really comment on it in a public show. Sean says, I need Sami to cut his hair and bring back the NXT look. He would rather keep his hair and go with the look that he has now. Salmon says, do you see Alexa involved in a possible Bray versus Uncle Howdy match? I don't want that match. It seems ridiculous, just as a concept. Roger says, what's happening with the Dexter Loomis storyline? Not much. Moises says, what does Roman end up doing after he loses the titles? He will still have some unfinished business with the bloodline to work through. Andrew says, that sums it up for me. Bliss is going through character changes and not getting the belt anytime soon, but for now, questions. Ms. Marcos says, will the Royal Rumble not show up? It was Rey Mysterio, Dolph Ziggler, Bobby... Okay, a lot more people didn't show up there. Hector says, if Karrion continues to look bad on the main roster, I honestly could see them moving him back to NXT. Sometimes the main roster isn't for everyone. I believe that's true of Dexter as well. Spider-Boss says, it wouldn't surprise me if this thing of Vince getting involved ends in a confrontation. And Christoph says, if Rhea picks Bianca, which I think will be the case, who else send Ronda to face Charlotte for the SD title? Asuka, I've mentioned Nia Jax. Lovan says, hey Tom. Hey Lovan, how you doing? Simon says, I mean, though Triple H is still head of creative, every creative decision is Triple H's final call. It's not. Andrew says, I also didn't get the part where Liv Morgan was saying she was going to be number one, then got all the way to the end and in the Royal Rumble, then eliminated by Asuka. I mean, she tried. Yeah, she tried really hard and had a great performance. Lovan says, will we get any new Bloodline members? It's hard to say right now. The Bloodline is breaking down at the moment. Joey said if they do Bray versus Uncle Howdy at Mania, his return will be a huge waste. And Thomas Phipps says, what would you rate that Royal Rumble? Personally, for me, I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10, maybe even an 8. I personally would go with the 8. I think that was an incredible Royal Rumble. Both Royal Rumble matches were great fun, very high tempo, and we had an incredible finish when it comes to the storyline between the Bloodline. That said, there were some bad moments. The Uncle Howdy of it all, the pitch black match, visually a very entertaining spectacle, but ultimately meant kind of nothing and just wasn't that entertaining. Also, I've got to say, the Women's Championship match, very by the numbers, a bit basic, not that fun. Not that fun. Also, I've got to take something off because I was up until 5:30 in the morning. Like, what? Why? Peter says, I hope Rhea isn't injured badly. She is awesome. To my knowledge, she is fit enough to compete at WrestleMania. Oop. Roger says, I'll go nuts if Carmella returns tonight. I'm a big Carmella fan. Lovin's loved the Royal Rumble as well. Spider-Boss says, could we say Vince is getting involved on creative officially? No, because officially he is not. Yes, Simon. I get what you're saying. 1 a.m, not something I really want to countenance. I do WWE here, guys. Let's just remember that. Hector says, Tom, you have me convinced that Charlotte's Mania opponent will be Nia, especially if Charlotte will continue to be a face, and Ronda and Shayna pivoting to the tag titles leaves you with not many legit heels to work with. Nia Jax might be the only one who can make sure that Charlotte Flair gets cheered. And after all, that's what they want. RT Gaming says, why do people not like Nia Jax? Mostly because of the injuries she has caused their favourites. Andrew Soto is very happy that Cody Rhodes is the winner of the Rumble. Kieran says, I don't understand why they don't start the events at even midnight, because it's a different time zone and it's very, very different over there. Thomas says, I know that time finished me. The Sunday was a write-off. It was. It really was. Venom says, I want Charlotte versus Bayley or Raquel at Mania. Raquel's an option, I guess. Spider-Boss says, Alexa barely had some offense against Bianca, one KOD, and it was all for Alexa. Yeah, nobody's kicked out of the KOD, mate. Doesn't happen. Loven says, the main event gave me the same feeling I got when I was 12 and seeing D-Bry winning at WrestleMania 30. It's really special stuff. Simon, no update on Stone Cold. Nobody has it. Nobody has it. And Dom says, I hope Asuka does challenge for the title at WrestleMania. So a couple of things before I get to the fake news extravaganza, looking at all the fake news that came out about the Royal Rumble from lots of different sources. A couple of things I do want to touch on though. I will be making 2 videos over the next few days for the YouTube channel that are not shorts. The Uncle Howdy breakdown, as in who is Uncle Howdy and what does he mean to Bray Wyatt, will be one of them. And I'll also be doing the Mania card that we know of so far. We'll be doing a Mania card there. Also, a little update. Big E was never scheduled to be in the Royal Rumble. He does still have some tests to do. He's recovering well, but he can't put pressure on areas where, as a wrestler, you need to be able to put pressure. So at the moment, he's still in recovery. He's still gaining fitness. Big E will likely be back in and around WrestleMania time. Personally, I think he'll come in after WrestleMania. So, we currently have 50 likes and 130 viewers. Be sure to hit that thumbs up as we get to the breakdown of all of the different reports, which were actually proven fake news for the Rumble. We are currently only 11 subscribers away from 2100. If you've not yet done so, please hit subscribe. It makes a massive difference to the growth of the channel, and I would very much appreciate it. So I've put a document together for like the last week before the Royal Rumble. I've used Cage Side Seats and their rumour roundups. So these are sources that Cage Side Seats and SB Nation have determined are trustworthy sources. I'll be breaking down exactly who reported what and whether or not it was correct. Also, since so many people have been asking the question about whether Zero News is a trustworthy source, I've made a special section just for them, what they've done that's been proven right and what they've been done that's been proven wrong. Venom says, do you think it's likely we get a Sasha return? No. Steve says, are you going to watch the NXT Vengeance Day show? Yes, I am. Not a live stream, but I'm going to watch it. Spider-Boss says, who'd have thought Charlotte being babyface? I like Charlotte as heel. Everyone does, mate. Everyone does. Thomas Phipps says, I want Charlotte versus Asuka. They can build it as Asuka wanting to right the wrongs of her past. Spider-Boss says, just one legend in the Women's Royal Rumble. I liked that WWE used the entire women's division and women from NXT. Sean says, I think everyone that's saying the Rumble was bad are Roman fans who are upset they're not getting the dream match. I won't go that far, mate. I won't go that far. Simon said, did you hear the news about New Japan Strong rebranding to more live events? Yes. Very exciting. And Loven says, I went back and watched it 2 more times when Cody wins the Rumble, and I see him mouth the words, I did it, Dad. It breaks me every time. So, be sure to hit like, be sure to subscribe. Let's get to it. So, I took the point directly from Cage Side Seats. I want to give them credit. Their rumour roundup is very good work, and I follow up with my own comments. So, about a week before the Royal Rumble, we get the first piece of news. WWE approached Steve Austin about facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39 per Fightful Select. They don't know if Steve Austin agreed to the match, but heard Austin was offered enormous money. Now, Dave Meltzer does dispute this report, saying that the match offered was not for Roman Reigns, but was actually for Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns will face Cody Rhodes, but could do double duty. Meanwhile, Brock Lesnar looks set to face Bobby Lashley. So either Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful or Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer are wrong here. I can confirm that a deal was offered to Stone Cold Steve Austin for a match with Roman Reigns. Dave Meltzer was incorrect. Perhaps related, Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio that most of the people he talks to at WWE have been of the opinion The Rock wouldn't have time to work WrestleMania 39 for months. Dave Meltzer, of course, is the one who reported that The Rock would be both in the Royal Rumble and win it. We need to start keeping track of how often Dave Meltzer gets extra clicks for killing rumours he himself started. He started the rumour that The Rock would be in the Royal Rumble and win it. He then goes on to say The Rock will not be in the Royal Rumble and will not win it. And this gets reported both times. Both times. Why would you report the rumour killer from the same person who started the rumour? I don't understand. Speaking of time, Fightful says Raw Triple X's Becky Lynch Bayley steel cage match was one of many things trimmed after the Bloodline trial went long. Now, given how the Rumble went, Becky versus Bayley looks set to be a big match on the WrestleMania card, if not before, and that was first reported on October 24th on Spoiler Warning here on the Tom Colohue channel. Becky versus Bayley is what they're building to. They were actually very happy to drag the cage match backwards so that they could keep teasing to the match. In light of their segment on Raw last night, WrestleVotes tweeted a story about Undertaker and Bray Wyatt. Taker reportedly told Vince McMahon to take care of Bray after their match at WrestleMania 31. I can confirm that this did happen. Vince McMahon is also a huge supporter of Bray Wyatt, including removing him on several occasions from the cost-benefit analysis list that Nick Khan put together. The Wrestling Observer say that a lot of New Japan stars have contracts coming up at the end of the month. There have been discussions within WWE about trying to sign Jay White, Hikuleo and Tama Tonga. Jay White was rumoured to be on his way to the Royal Rumble last night by fans and one particular outlet, but more on that story later. I did confirm several times during Spoiler Warning, Jay White is still under contract with New Japan. Right now, he is still under contract with New Japan. He was never close to being in the Royal Rumble. The Wrestling Observer notes Bobby Lashley has been pushing to redo the Hurt Business, and wheels are in motion for that to happen. Now, Bobby Lashley is not the loudest voice pushing for this, but he certainly is one of them. The plan is, and this is a bit of news for you, slowly putting them back together to reinforce that Bobby Lashley is the heel going into this feud with Brock Lesnar. A win at WrestleMania sets Bobby Lashley up nicely as a first challenger to a new WWE champion, Cody Rhodes. While he couldn't confirm it, PWInsider's Mike Johnson has heard from several people backstage at WWE who expect Nia Jax to be a part of the Women's Royal Rumble match this weekend. He eventually did confirm it, and that is exactly what happened. Chalk that up to a win for PWInsider. So far, PWInsider, Fightful doing well, Dave Meltzer not so much. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer mentioned that as of a couple of weeks ago, WWE was not planning to have Sami Zayn win the Men's Royal Rumble. Going further back, Meltzer says Zayn's storyline with the Bloodline was originally planned to last only 3 weeks. Sami Zayn was the second favourite to win the Royal Rumble. Much like The Rock was the third favourite to win the Royal Rumble. Sami Zayn did not even appear. There were never any plans for Sami Zayn to win the Royal Rumble, as I covered extensively on Spoiler Warning. So it's another case of rumour killing your own reports. Fightful Select, so this is Paywall, says Ronda Rousey's SmackDown Women's title defense against Raquel Rodriguez on the December 30th episode was originally planned for the Royal Rumble 2023. Now, this from me, Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey looks likely to be potentially one of the championship matches at WrestleMania. I've read that wrong. Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley could well be one of the women's championship matches at WrestleMania. This would open the door for Judgment Day to make more SmackDown appearances. That's when I realised I'd said it wrong. Thus allowing Dominic versus Rey Mysterio to bloom also. Judgment Day are looking to be the first major move of the upcoming WWE draft. It could still be Rhea versus Bianca, but I believe the storyline is there for Rhea versus Charlotte. Also, to be honest, the move to SmackDown would make a lot of sense. Dominic and Rey Mysterio need to start building to their match, which they continued at Royal Rumble. Meltzer also claims Natalya is hurt and might not be ready in time for the Women's Royal Rumble match. Natalya appeared in last night's Royal Rumble match, though she wasn't in for very long. Pardon me. As her recovery is ongoing. Natalya's return was reported by myself and another outlet, which we will get to shortly. The site, this being Fightful, hasn't been able to confirm it, but several people who claim to have connections at WWE swear to Fightful Select The Rock is showing up tonight. This was behind the paywall. Behind the paywall, several people who claim to have connections at WWE. When you're told by people that they only report verified information, remember this one. Several people who claim to have connections at WWE. So you're reporting on unverified sources that The Rock will be there. This is a big negative for a usually reliable source here. If you can't confirm it, maybe don't report it. The Rock did not appear at the Royal Rumble, as reported and repeated multiple times here at Spoiler Warning. I don't understand why you'd repeat this one, how it even got to that state. There are multiple reports of Edge and Beth Phoenix being in town. This was leaked ahead of time by a few different outlets, and it wasn't really a surprise. We knew Edge was coming back around this time. We knew his contract had rolled over. I'd already informed, I put it on Twitter, his dates had rolled over. We would see him back in January. While Rhodes wasn't medically cleared when his comeback video started airing, PWInsider says he's fully cleared now. Cody will be back on Raw full-time starting Monday, which of course is absolutely correct. This is why he was number 30. Pardon me. Those who reported they'd be in there early were in a complete dream world. Anyone who thought he was going to be number 1, he's still not 100%, guys. Still not 100%. Bo Dallas is in town, according to Fightful. WWE has Uncle Howdy costumes at hand at the Alamo Dome. Bo Dallas as Uncle Howdy, first reported here on the Tom Colohue channel. Fightful has since been reporting his movements. He was there and did play the character last night. Thank you kindly, CJ, for subscribing on the YouTube side. Very much appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who's watching, who's chatting, who hit that like, who hit that subscribe. We are continuing to grow. And if you're liking what I'm doing now, with the breakdown of the fake news that got through around the Royal Rumble, be sure to subscribe as well, because we've got plenty more coming. 10 more subscribers to 2,100. Several WWE talents told Fightful they think Pat McAfee will return to the company soon. One said they heard Pat's name mentioned for the Rumble. Now, Pat McAfee wasn't in the Rumble, but he did appear at the beginning of the show to join the commentary team. He was invited to join the Rumble, as I myself have said. Commentary worked very well last night, and the WWE have already spoken to McAfee about being involved in programming going forwards. They want a lot more of him, and this is exactly when I expected him to return. Mark Cardona has continued to tease a possible return to WWE on social media. PWInsider says talks at last week's Impact taping was that the former Zack Ryder is done with the promotion. He and his wife Chelsea Green will show up at the Royal Rumble. Mark Cardona did not appear at the Royal Rumble. This is a miss for PWInsider, but Chelsea Green did, so there's a win for them. A lot of fans wish that she didn't, given how quickly she was out of the ring. And finally, before we get to the special section, regarding the possibility of New Japan's Jay White debuting tonight, Fightful says New Japan sources claim he's still under contract with them as of the Royal Rumble. Much like we were saying about Dave Meltzer earlier, Fightful are essentially rumour killing themselves here. Not only that, but you had to go behind a paywall to get a rumour kill that they put behind a paywall initially. Every year this comes up, and every year it seemingly goes nowhere. Jay White is booked to wrestle for New Japan well into February. He was never going to be in attendance for the Royal Rumble. Never. Now, I'm going to get on to next the special section, because so many of you asked, is Zero News a reliable source? I've compiled everything they've got right or wrong about the Royal Rumble. Before I do that, I just want to ask, if you're watching at the moment, let me know if you like what I'm doing right now. Let me know if you want more of these rumour killer sections. Let me know if there's more you want to learn as regards what's happening backstage here. Austin says, who do you think Roman defends the Universal title against? Lots of potential options. Whoever it's going to be, he's going to beat them. Spider-Boss says, with all the storyline between the Bloodline and Sami Zayn, who needs The Rock? I agree. Spider-Boss says, nobody kicked out from End of Days until Drew did. If Rhea picks Bianca, she can kick out. Brad says, because Dave Meltzer. Joey says, if Rhea is challenging Charlotte, who faces Bianca? Good question. Lovin says, Dave is a big dog in the yard. He's been doing it for years. He has decades of credibility, so he can low-key say whatever and use those years as a cushion for the bad news, but I could be wrong. I think you're absolutely correct there. Anything that it does get wrong is largely ignored, because he has a very, very storied history. Spider-Boss says, I always read people giving credit to PWInsider for the Mercedes Moné news on social media. Well, you're always welcome to correct them, Spider-Boss. Kieran says, I bet on Cody and Rhea to win the Rumble because it's easy money. The favourite on betting sites always wins. They do. Venom says, Nia needs to go to NXT until she can learn to work safely. Unlikely. Spider-Boss says, I think people need to give credit. Spoiler warning. Sean says, what did everyone think of Cody's entrance? And Spider-Boss says, I like the rumour killer section. People give credit to Fightful a lot. They do. And to be fair, a lot of what I've read there is areas where we should be giving credit to Fightful. Like, there was certainly one which I think needs to be questioned, but certainly they are fully deserving of a lot of the plaudits that they're getting. Absolutely they are. Okay. Lovin says, now that Sami is the biggest babyface in WWE, does he face Roman at the Chamber or gets added to Cody's main event? More likely to be the Chamber. Jonathan Rodriguez says, Meltzer has been wrong a lot, it seems like. Well, he rumour kills himself, what can I say? Simon says, a Stone Cold versus Roman Reigns dream match is still maybe a possibility. Yes. Steve says, in an attempt to beat Meltzer to the punch, I'd like to say The Rock is returning at WrestleMania 40. Joey says, do you have any news on Randy? Will we see him back in time for Mania? No, Randy Orton will not be back in time for WrestleMania. However, he's recovering better than expected at this point in time. What was expected was bad. So better than expected is still not great. Simon says, is Khan a clown character? No, in no way is she a clown. Venom said, is Uncle Howdy gone after what he did to LA Knight? No. I'm so confused with Uncle Howdy. 1 minute he attacks Bray, now he's helping him make up your mind. I agree. Loven says, not gonna lie, if they don't reveal Uncle Howdy tonight, I'll no longer give a fork about Bray's storyline. Wait, didn't they do this last January? Brad says, love it, as regards the rumour killing. Thomas says, this is very good, Tom. Jordan says, love this section. King of Cobra says, yes, would love more. Justin says, it's so good, more please. Daz likes it. Venom wants more. Matthew Johnson loves it. FDR says, yes, more rumour killer. Noob says, I like this section. KJ says, what's up, Tom? And yeah, I like this new thing that you're doing with the rumours and reports. Clears things up. Welcome, KJ. FDR says, yes, 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 yes. Which seemed good. Seems positive. Seems positive. Michael says, Meltzer will say this is happening, but it might change, so we can say I told you it might change when he's wrong. He's not the only one who does that. And Bailey says, enjoying these fight checks. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate that. If this is clearly very positive feedback, so if I do more of these, do them in shorts, do them in videos and so on, we'll keep going with that one. It seems like it's going to be a lot of fun if people are enjoying them. Sean says, apparently Madcap Moss was replaced in the Rumble by Logan Paul. Madcap was in the graphic and wasn't in the match. Madcap was never briefed to be in the match. I don't believe he was even there at the time. Logan Paul was always going to be there. He got the invite way earlier. Way earlier. Simon says, would they have two top dominant heel factions in the Bloodline and Judgment Day on the same brand, though? A Judgment Day are not a top dominant heel faction. Also, the Bloodline is in trouble. Ross says, yes, I like these rumour mill sections. Brilliant. Moises says, Baron is basically a jobber now, right? Nope, but he's lower down the card than he was. Venom says, if you're watching the next NXT pay-per-view, why not do a watch-along for it? Because I want to have a drink with a friend and watch some wrestling. Kieran says, I think at the Chamber we get Sammy versus Roman. Roman wins, beats him down after the match, and KO comes out and saves him. Makes perfect sense considering it's in Canada. Traffic says, love the rumour killing, especially you're not just bashing them. You're crediting them where due and discrediting where due, which that's what I want. I've said here before, and I'll say it again, I want this to be the most well-informed chat in wrestling. I want everyone here to come away thinking, I know more now than I did before the show started. I want you to be able to go away and say, look, check this out. Just check it out. I want you to be proud to say, watch this. This guy knows what he's doing. So, that's my hope. I hope one day to be undeniable, but we are where we are with that one. Sean says, I enjoy these rumour killer sections. Thank you, Sean. So the more people are enjoying it, the more likely, of course, I am to give us more of it. Because why not? Why not? You're my audience. You're the ones who are here. And if there's something you like, you can get more of it. Late Talk says, Jay White is in a loser leaves town match in February. Why would he show up? Wouldn't make sense. It would have proved he was leaving New Japan. It would. There was no reason he would turn up, but so many people were just so surprised that he didn't. It was baffling. Simon says, if it is Bray versus Uncle Howdy at Mania 39, it's Bray versus Bo. Yeah. FDR says, to be honest, the storyline with Bray and Uncle Howdy is a whole lot confusing, which makes it hard to be interested in. Billy says, yes, more rumour killer's daddy. Dad says, who attacked Ray at the Rumble, Tom? The guy holding his mask, man. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Kevin says, big mistake not showcasing NXT talent at the Royal Rumble. They did. They showed 3 in the Women's Royal Rumble. They did want to focus on who they had, though. Steve says, what are your go-to drinks and snacks for a wrestling night out with the lads? Cherry Coke. Always cherry Coke. Also, I like Doritos. Chili Heatwave is a great thing. Simon says, is Ronda's last match contract up at WrestleMania 39? Is she leaving Mania? Right, this is a hard one to answer. Ronda Rousey's contracts have auto-escape clauses. They do. So, for example, she was supposed to wrestle for 3 years in her first her first contract. However, and I was the first one to report it, and I got a lot of heat for this one. It's worth going back and checking because you'll see who gave me the heat for it, and you'll see that they did not apologise afterwards. I reported that she would actually only be working for 12 months. And that is, of course, what happened, WrestleMania to WrestleMania. It was the same time I reported, I think it was in the June, that I also reported she'd be facing Sasha Banks at the Royal Rumble. People should have listened, but we are where we are. As regards Ronda Rousey, it could be her last match at Mania, or it couldn't. It's up to her. Peter says, can't you just be uneducated? You're making me think. My head hurts. Keep it going, Tom. Lover says, no, I got it. I think at the Chamber we get main event Jey Uso versus Roman. Then on night 1 of WrestleMania we get Sami versus Roman. I think this would be a perfect pivot. Venom says, I thought you don't watch NXT. I usually don't. My friend does, and I'm going to check it out. Andrew Soto says, Cody Rhodes versus The Rock at Mania versus a Bloodline storyline. The Rock is unlikely to be at WrestleMania. He is not currently booked for a match. Peter Enkelfield said, no one attacked Ray. He was injured on the previous SmackDown. Venom says, did you update your software? Doesn't seem to be playing up tonight. I did run a fix, run some updates, did what I could of it. Seems to be working. It worked a full 5 hours during the Rumble, so fingers crossed. Thomas says, not going to lie, was gutted we didn't get the Ospreay-Seth segment at the Rumble. I got my hopes up over our fantasy booking. That's true, but we did get, even better, Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. FDR says, considering a lot of wrestling news today are just a bunch of clickbaits, having the Rumor Killer segments is a really, really good idea. My hope with these is very much that you know who you can trust. Because, you know, I'm not the most well-connected man in wrestling. I try my best to inform you as best I can. But part of informing you is also saying this person is reliable. Even if I don't like that person, if they're reliable, then they're reliable. It's that simple. Sean says, Cora Jade was backstage at Royal Rumble. A photo of her was posted with Natalya, and Ricky Starks was also backstage. Venom says, I don't understand why Breakker wasn't in the Rumble. They didn't want to make him look bad by having him eliminated. Venom also loves Doritos. Simon says, is Asuka's new character a heel or a babyface? Neither. They're going to let the crowd decide, basically. Why wasn't Cora Jade in the Rumble? She wasn't booked to be there. They had other women they wanted, to put in instead. Venom, we will never get an NXT watch-along. That's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. Christoph says, great idea, Tom. Rumour killing, very instructive. Also will help me to report the most accurate news on my page. By the way, Billy B is very upset about the L he took regarding Cody. He blocked me. Yeah. You know who's not reliable? Billy Batty. Shouldn't surprise anyone. Lovin says, do we get Jimmy versus Jay at the Chamber? I did hear Jimmy say, he's your brother. No, I'm your brother, after he super kicked Sammy. Thank you, Daz, for the heads up about Wrestling Days. We'll see if I'm still live at that point, and then I'm going to have to see who I subscribe to who's available. I will, when in doubt, support a smaller channel, just so you know. So we're getting to our special section now. Be sure to hit like. Comment on these as they come in, because I'll still read your comments and I'll keep the chat rate up. Subscribe if you haven't, because right now we're on 2,092, 8 more, and we're on 2,100. We've had so many questions about whether or not Zero News is a reliable source. So I've taken everything they reported about the Royal Rumble, put it together, and now I'm going to share it with you as to whether it was true or false, so that you know how they did and whether or not to trust them. Firstly, Zero News correctly reported, first, before anyone else, that the order for the Royal Rumble match was being changed, with the Men's Rumble opening the show and Reigns versus Owens match closing. Thank you very much, Noah Pacey, for subscribing on the YouTube side. I hope you fit in very nicely here. By all means, chat away, ask your questions, and we'll chat as it goes. This was the case, and further explains who Zero News' source is, by the way. They did report it first. They were absolutely correct. Zero News reported with certainty that The Rock would be at the event. He was not. Zero News mocked several people for questioning them about The Rock being at the Royal Rumble. Zero News was wrong. They still mocked people about it. Zero News reported with certainty that there would be a stare down between The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin at the event. Neither man made an appearance. Zero News reported that Vince McMahon would appear on either Raw 30 or the Royal Rumble. Vince McMahon did not appear. Zero News reported that Rey and Dominic Mysterio would be opening the Men's Royal Rumble. Both were in the teens, and Rey Mysterio didn't even appear in the match. So they've got 1 out of 5 so far. Zero News reported that Natalya would be back in the match, which she was. 2 out of 6. Now here's where it gets interesting, because this is the part which it becomes impossible to say whether it's true or false. Zero News uploaded a GIF featuring Pat McAfee. As there was no report attached to it, it is neither true or false. In much the same way, the obvious references to Ivy Nile, Cora Jade, Alba Fire and Mandy Rose didn't have a report attached to it, so this was neither true or false. Thank you very much, Mets Champion, for the subscription. We do Monday and Friday spoiler warning news shows that you may quite enjoy. We also do watch parties for SmackDown and pay-per-views, and tonight at least we'll be doing a Raw watch party that you may enjoy. They also said that a specific male Japanese wrestler has been travelling. Which honestly, what even is that? Like, what the hell is that? Did they walk to the shop for a Pepsi? That's travelling. That's travelling. Did they travel back from America to Japan to go and do a wrestling match there? That's travelling, guys. That's travelling. We could count all that as travelling. What the hell is that? Zero News did report that Wade Barrett would be in the Royal Rumble. He was not. It's 2 out of 7, and that's if we ignore the clear allusions to a specific male Japanese wrestler, Ivy Nile, Cora Jade, Alba Fire, Mandy Rose, and Pat McAfee. If we ignore 6 things, they get 2 out of 7 correct. 2 out of 7. So you've been asking me, is Zero News reliable? Let's not pretend that I didn't give them their dues when they were right there. 2 out of 7. Thank you, Michael. Michael says Zero News also said Kyrie would be in the Rumble. That brings them to 2 out of 8. I do remember seeing that, but unfortunately I didn't write it down. Didn't catch it when I was doing my research. Now, I did talk about Kyrie Sane. I did talk about the possibility of her being there. William Regal was going to be a part of that. But at no point did I say she was going to be there. And here is the big difference. There are definitely times when I tease. But that's on Twitter. That's on the watch parties. In spoiler warning, I say, there has been a discussion about this. This needs to happen for it to happen. Or I say, Bray Wyatt has signed a new deal. The Rock is not going to be at the Royal Rumble. I don't mess around. That's how it should be. And as I said earlier about WrestleVotes, if you're not brave enough to put your name or your face to it, I wouldn't trust a thing you say. Lovin says, do we get Jimmy versus Jay the Chamber? I've already read that one actually. Kieran says, fun fact, Ronda has now been in WWE longer than she's been in UFC. Eric says, at first I was confused why Chelsea got eliminated so early. Then I saw a new gimmick is basically a Karen. Roger says, will Tom Colohue ever show up at a Rumble? Lovin says, what happened to the main roster women's tag team titles? Do they matter anymore? They do. A rebuild is coming very, very soon. You want to keep an eye on it. The champions in question will be defending shortly in the build to WrestleMania. Keem says, Solo going to be tag champ now? They're going to have to work that out. I do not believe so. Venom says, do you think the Usos will vacate the tag belts due to Jay's walkout? It's not impossible. It's not impossible, but they will still be taking on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. That was at least the plan, though of course Sami Zayn may have convinced them otherwise. Lovin says, what's up with all this Rock stuff? People really like The Rock. Who knew, right? Jordan says, thanks Tom, great to clarify who to trust and who to not. Honestly, this is great stuff. Thank you very much. I really do hope that this sort of stuff is of use to you. It's important to know who to trust and who not to trust, and to be fair, who to give another chance to, because things can change. Venom says, sounds like they have no idea what they're saying, they're just clickbait. Mets Champion says, I don't think Jey Uso is coming back. Jey Uso is coming back, this is all part of storyline, he hasn't officially left the company. But he probably won't be coming back to the Bloodline. Steve says, I heard Keiji Muto has been travelling. Somebody will have been travelling. Bismo, how you doing, mate? Says, I'm bummed we'll never get a Usos versus Briscoe brothers match. I thought somewhere down the line we'd get a match between them, R.I.P. Jay. I kind of hoped so as well, but unfortunately not to be. Lovin says, oh, right, okay. Sean Island said he said we would get a face-off between Steve Austin and The Rock at the Rumble. He did say that. Did not happen. Lil Fettuccini says the US Championship will be in the Chamber match. I'm very excited for it. Honestly, Austin Theory in a Chamber has proven to be a very good thing. Simon says, New Japan Pro Wrestling even reported Michelle Monet was responsible for the New Japan sellout. Billy Batty still doesn't credit Sasha for it. Andrew Quinn says, Undertaker was in the WrestleMania package. Are we getting an appearance or a segment? Possibly, but not a big one. He definitely won't be wrestling. Venom says, do you reckon we get Grand Slam Owens chant on Raw after Mania? No. Justin Check says, do that again in the future with a theme. We start our own rumour, preferably behind a paywall, and then immediately debunk ourselves, also behind paywall. I mean, I really can't... You literally, you can't make this up. They start a rumour behind a paywall. You have to pay to see a rumour. You then have to pay to see them say, oh, this rumour that we said... Nah. What the hell? Venom says, if he's not going back to Bloodline, how do we get Usos versus Owens and Sami at Mania for tag titles? Well, the easiest way is for Jimmy to go with him. I think the Bloodline's going to fall apart, guys. And I think Roman, after WrestleMania, is going to be looking for some revenge. Sean says, Gunter versus Sheamus versus Drew at Mania, take my money. Fort Miner says, do you think we'll see a women's chamber this year? We will. I'm confident we're going to see a women's chamber match for the second spot at WrestleMania for either the Raw or SmackDown Women's Championship, whichever one Rhea Ripley does not herself go for. Steve says, do you suppose AJ Styles will be healed and available for the US title chamber? I find it unlikely that after just recovering from injury, they'd throw him into an elimination chamber. A Royal Rumble, yes, you can be very easily protected there. Elimination chamber, not so much. So, next up, what I need to do is find someone who is live at the moment. No live or upcoming content from your subscriptions. That's not a great start. Let's see who we've got. See who's available. Because, in case you're not aware, we can now do raids on YouTube. I know, right? You can do raids on YouTube. Sean says 2 qualifying matches for Elimination Chamber tonight. For those who don't know, I will be hosting a Raw watch party tonight. I will be hosting that show, and I hope you all can tune in and we can have a great time. There is no one that I subscribe to live at this point in time, so there'll be no raid tonight, unfortunately. Roger Sims says, will we ever see Rosemary in WWE? I unfortunately think not. It would be lovely if they did. Steve, a raid on YouTube essentially means at the end of my show, all of you are automatically redirected to someone else's show. So someone else who I think, oh, they're also covering wrestling. You're here because you like wrestling. There may be wrestling news. You'd hopefully really enjoy this show. It's very good for them because at the moment we've got 120 people here. If all of you descend on someone else's show, even just briefly, you are guaranteeing a great show for that person. And if someone is really struggling with 5 or 6 viewers, they're doing great work, but they're only getting small numbers, and then you guys show up with me? Oh. Also, very good for my reputation. That's all I'm saying. Venom says, I wish they'd put the titles on KO more instead of always giving it to Bobby. They haven't always given it to Bobby. Levin says, I wanted her business and Bloodline in a war. Oh, that would be fun. KJ says, I was told that The Rock was indeed at the Royal Rumble. He was seen in the parking lot, the streets, backstage on the ground, and everywhere outside. Levin says, Tom, before you go, who has better factions, WWE or AEW? They have different factions. Venom is hyped for the Raw watch party. Dolph Ziggler, 2010 to now, says, just have Baron Corbin impersonate other wrestlers every week on Raw. Damian Sandow and Charlie Haas treatment, please. I don't want it, but unfortunately, here's the thing. That's the basic fallback of Vince McMahon. He's always like, this person's struggling to get over. Let's dress him like Hulk Hogan. That's the answer. It's not the answer. It's not the answer. Just no. Thomas says, maybe with the bloodline falling apart, they're bringing the AOP to back up Roman and Solo. Well, to be fair, I did report previously there was interest. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. We've just hit 1,500 views. We've hit 73 likes. We peaked at 143 viewers. It's been an incredible show. Kieran, I'm watching Raw because it's the Raw after the Royal Rumble. I'm just excited. I don't have a day off work tomorrow. In many ways, this is Venom's fault. But yes, that's why we're doing a Raw watch party tonight. Until then, I'm going to try and get my head down for an hour and a half and get myself some rest. So I hope to see you all for the watch party later on tonight. Thank you everyone who's hit like, everyone who's chatted, everyone who's subscribed. We'll see you all very soon. I've been Tom Colohue. You have been fantastic. I'll see you all very soon.